Welcome back, everyone, to the Messy Makeup Mama. I am so excited that you're here, and I'm even more excited about today's topic. Today I'm going to be covering 5 simple steps to help you create that flawless foundation coverage. Now, these 5 steps that I'm about to share with you have really helped me in my foundation routine to create that really flawless, even coverage. I've struggled with more troubled skin and redness and acne, and so I'm going to be going over what I have found to work to create that really flawless, even coverage. So let's get started. Tip number 1 is to exfoliate your skin. Exfoliating is going to help remove any gunk or dry skin off of your face. It's going to help unclog pores, and it's also going to just smooth out any rough surface on your skin, which then helps your foundation apply smoother and more even. My favorite exfoliant is actually from the Uology skincare line, and it's our exfoliating mask. It's a really good grain. It doesn't hurt my skin, but it gets the job done. I also really love it because it smells like warm vanilla, and it's just so, I don't know, there's just something about the scent that's very soothing. But if you would like, you can also just make a sugar scrub at home. That'll work as well. Tip number 2 is to actually go in with a toning spray. Now, the reason you want to use a toning spray is because it's going to help cool down your face. You don't want to apply your makeup on a warm face. You want it to be cool and fresh. So I also love this because if I'm applying my makeup later on in the day, let's say I wash my face in the morning and I'm doing it later in the afternoon, just a quick spritz of this will freshen up my face and will just help get a more even, clean foundation application. I'm going to go ahead and spritz my face with this. You want to make sure you're getting your face wet. Now, my toning spray is a rose water, so that's what targets that redness reducing if any of you struggle with the redness. Tip number 3 is primer. Now, primer is really important because it's going to create that barrier between your skin and your makeup so that your foundation isn't going to settle into your pores, which then maximizes your pores. So when people look at you, they're just going to see pores. So the primer is actually going to help fill in those pores. That's going to minimize those pores, and it's going to help your foundation just set nicely on top of your skin. And it actually will even help you remove your makeup because it's not sunk into your pores. It's really important to get a facial primer that is specific to your skin type. So for example, right now my skin is dry. We're coming out of winter going into spring, and for some reason my skin was really dry this winter. I typically am a really oily girl, so I was really surprised. But all that aside, I'm using our Touch Glorious facial primer in Hydrating, and it just feels really nice and soothing to my skin. But if you are an oily girl, you're going to want to grab the mattifying primer, and then if you are normal, you can go ahead and just grab our or any general facial primer. That'll do. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a pump full of this, and I'm going to just pat this all over my face. A little bit goes a long way. And then you really want to make sure that you work this primer into those areas that your foundation tends to crease in. For me, that's my smile lines and around my nose. Finally getting into foundation. Now, when it comes to our foundation, it's really important to actually do multiple thin layers of foundation versus one thick layer of foundation. And the reason being is this is going to give you more control over the coverage that you're going to have over your face, and it's also going to help you cover up any redness, and it's going to help you cover up any acne, especially if you have acne that kind of bulges from your face. Doing multiple layers versus one thick layer is really going to give you a nicer coverage, and it's going to last longer too. So I'm going to take a little bit of my liquid foundation here. And like I said, you want to do thin layers versus one thick layer. So I'm just especially starting out with my problematic areas, and I'm just buffing this into my skin. Now, some people would think, well, if I'm doing a lot of thin layers, it's gonna take longer to apply, and that's not necessarily true. If you do a thicker layer of foundation, you're actually gonna be taking just as long to buff it into your skin. I used to, like, I'd be like, oh, I can't get this blended in well enough. So taking your time to just take a couple more extra steps, it doesn't take that long. I typically only need 1 to 3 layers, just because I do have more to cover. Obviously, we could use concealer as well, but we're just talking about foundation today. So then in that second layer, I'm just gonna focus more on my problematic areas and discoloration of my face. This way too, you're not building up and wasting foundation in areas that you don't need it. It's still gonna look even if you're really buffing it in well. Okay, and then one more, just because I'm really just going for a full coverage. I would probably typically be fine with just 2. I want an even more of a coverage, but I want more coverage, so we're gonna just go for all of it today, all the extra coverage. Okay, and step number 5 is all about tools. So tools can make or break your foundation application, and you're definitely gonna wanna mess around with what tool works best for you. So for example, today I did a liquid foundation, and I really love using a damp beauty blender for my liquid foundation. But some people love the brush, so you really just gotta mess around and see what works best for your skin. I personally feel like the beauty blender buffs it into my skin better, whereas the brushes can kind of streak. But again, it totally depends on your skin type. Some people prefer the brush for liquid, so totally depends. I prefer a brush when it comes to powder, but some people really like using a sponge for powder. So just mess around and see what works best for you. Sometimes it's not the foundation, but the tools that you're using to apply it. Hey everyone, that's a wrap for this video. I hope this was helpful for you. To quick recap what we did, we covered the fact that you need to make sure to use an exfoliator for your skin. This is gonna help smooth out your skin. You wanna use a toning spray to spritz all over your face and freshen up your face. This is gonna help even out your skin tone. And then using a facial primer, making sure to get one specific to your skincare needs. So for example, I use the hydrating. And then we finally got to the foundation. So really prepping your skin is super important for a really nice even foundation coverage, okay? Next up, using thin layers versus one thick layer of foundation, even if no matter what foundation, whether it's powder or liquid or even spray foundation, you're going to wanna make sure that you're doing thin layers versus a thick layer. And the last tip is your tools. Tools make or break your foundation application. Trust me, I know. For example, I use the beauty blender versus the brush, but some people like the brush. So just mess around and see what works best for you. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment down below if these tips were helpful and if you tried them. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.